Wow. Okay, I'll give it a second for the sound to settle down. Hey everybody, it's so good to be here. It's good to see you. I'm looking for places for stuff. There we go. Wow. It does feel really, really good to be back. When she said during the announcement almost 2 years, it's like, no, I hadn't been gone that long. Yeah, I have. And I am thrilled. It is a testament to all of you and a testament to the reality and truth of this teaching that you're here doing this. Because it's not dependent on one person. It wasn't dependent on me. It's not dependent on my predecessors. It won't be dependent on the people that come after me. It is a perpetual truth that cannot be shut down. It will pop up in one way or another through different methods and systems as long as there are people willing to think. So I'm glad to be back. It's, like I said, it's kind of an interesting moment. Yeah, I'm just going to jump right in. So that's enough of that. Some people have been asking if I've been traveling. Yes, I'm traveling. Since January, I've been speaking twice a month in Bellingham, Washington, a beautiful, beautiful city where it rains a lot. And they always want me to tell that it rains a lot because they don't want too many people moving there. So it rains a lot. I won't tell you how nice it is in between. I'm out there on a temporary position as their interim, and that will be ending up at the end of July, so I'll be around a little more in Atlanta after that for a while until we see what the next interim shows up as. I am now, believe this or not, there's a new certification in Center for Spiritual Living. We have a certified interim ministers, so I am now certified. People have said for years, I am certifiable. Now I really am. So there you go. All right. The talk today is in living color. Ta-da! I put on a pink shirt with this to start with, and I decided that was over the top, maybe too much. So I went back to basic black because, that's the absence of color, so you can make it up and just kind of pretend what's in there in between. I don't know how well this shows up on TV or on YouTube and those kind of things, but bring your color up because this thing is pretty spectacular. It's got all the colors that you can think of, pinks and purples and turquoise, and a little gold smattered in there, and we'll get back to that later. So Ernest Holmes says in the Science of Mind textbook, it should be considered right to live and enjoy living, to be well, happy, and to express freedom. It is to be in accord with divine law and divine wisdom. Freedom, happiness, and wellness. It's to be expected. How cool is that? I like that statement. I didn't think it applied to me for a long time growing up. I didn't think the freedom part did. I certainly wasn't sure about the happiness part, but I figured if I chased God long enough, eventually I would get the blessing and figure it all out. Well, I finally did when I landed in this teaching and discovered that I'd had it all along already. So it was just a matter of opening up and becoming aware. We live in a world now where a lot of that freedom is being denied people. There are a lot of folks on the fringe. That's not new. That's been going on since time began, since human beings have been here. I remember the first time I felt like an absolute free citizen of the United States. It was 1987. I and 500,000 of my best friends were marching down Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. for gay rights. And when we came around the corner, and I could see all the way down to the Capitol, I still get there. I remember that moment where I went, oh my God, I'm a part of this. I always cried when I heard the Star Spangled Banner or when I heard any of the patriotic stuff, and I didn't realize until that moment I was crying because I wasn't part of it. I'd been told so long who I am, how I love, what I love, stops me. So starting in that moment, I knew I belonged. And now it's just been a matter of getting the rest of the world to figure that out. And that's where we are right now. And I think in our culture, we all belong. It's a great story about that. Yeah, I've told it before. You've heard it. So bear with me while you hear it again. Those who haven't, you're in for a new story. I first read it in Chicken Soup for the Soul, which doesn't often get credit anymore, but so many of the stories floating around our teaching and around all of the spiritual movement in this country come from those books. And this one was about a time in China when they were about to build some new highway through a section of the city, and they needed to move, and it needed to go through one side of a large Buddhist enclave. And so to do that, they had to move the main Buddha, the big clay Buddha that was sitting under a shelter out for people to come and experience and do all of the things that they do there. So they figured out they could pick the whole thing up, move it out of the way, set it back down, and eventually it would be back under a shelter and would be okay. So they did that, and they got cranes underneath it. They lifted it up. They moved it several hundred feet over to the new location. They set it down, and when they set it down kind of hard, and they noticed there were some cracks in this clay, in this great piece of artwork and piece of sacred work. It had been there for hundreds of years. So when they saw that, they realized the rains were coming. It was monsoons coming soon, so they covered it over with tarps to protect it from the rain until they could build the shelter over it. And they left it, and sure enough, that night the rains came, and the rains kept raining and raining and raining. And one of the monks decided to go check on it. So he went out and looking under the tarp, and everything looked okay, and he's shining a flashlight under there. This happened in the 1950s, shining a light there, and it was just about to be done and wrap it all back up whenever he saw a little shiny glint of some sort. And so the light flashed back, and so he went and started looking more carefully and looking more closely and realized that where the crack was, there was something shiny behind that. And so he wrapped it up, excitedly went to sleep, came back in the daytime, still raining, but he came out there with a tool and began to kind of push through and chip away and try to see what is this underneath. And the more he chipped away, the more he exposed this amazing gold. And with time, they chipped enough away to realize the entire Buddha was solid gold. And it had been covered over several hundred years before when a marauding group was coming through to overtake. I don't know if you know that about Buddhism, but there was a time when different Buddhist sects were all fighting each other and trying to take control of China. And so they, in order to protect their sacred objects and their valuable objects, they covered them over with plaster and clay in order for them to still look like a Buddha but not look like anything of value. And as they chipped away, they discovered this very large solid gold Buddha underneath. And that's how we are. That story's always been told in terms of what's happening inside of us. You are the golden Buddha. You are the gold within. There's within each of us this core, this center, that's solid gold, that is of such great value and beauty, that shines brightly when we allow it, that is there always and all the time. No matter how much you hurt, no matter how much you've been through, no matter what kind of history you may have for this moment, you have the solid gold within you, that divine being that you are. We say that in this teaching all the time. We are expressions, individual expressions of the divine. And we are. And that's where it shows up. It shows up within us. So that story is always so meaningful to me. We look so much at at the gold and the idea of our value and the idea of how good we are. And we can forget about the clay. But I don't know about you. I live in the clay more than I live in the gold. And maybe you live in the life of gold. Good for you. I heard a story or two as I got here today from you that some of you have been experiencing some real shiny gold lately. Awesome. Go for it. But then there's those of us who live much more in the gold, in the clay, where life is tough, where we're balancing things and trying to figure out how to manage this new world of, you know, the whole world changed when AI started. We're in a brand new world. We're in a brand new world with crypto came online, and people had a whole another foundational way of sharing prosperity across many different lines. I mean, there's so many things. I don't need to tell you that. You know how much has changed. You know, I watch old movies a lot sometimes, and my mother used to do this, and I used to get so angry with her. Why are you always watching these old stupid movies? Well, I now understand it now, because it's a part of her wanting to reach back and remember simpler times that I had learned to adjust to then, and found myself living pretty well and pretty successfully. And now all this stuff is changing about every 2 weeks, and I need a whole new adjustment period. But I don't get to do that, even though I got more stuff inside of me now to adjust because I've been alive longer. So I got more memories to figure out, and more of that to put into the right categories and get everything lined up so I know how to live in the next moment. I love that about living in this moment. But you still got to deal with all that. So it's a real interesting challenge that the clay is what gets us sometimes. You know, this is the month where we celebrate freedom of marginalized people. And we really stand for our people. This is, you saw the rainbow flags, and you saw the whole things about the LGBTQ. Well, you know, there's a lot more letters behind that. It's two-spirit, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning, intersex, and asexual. I can't say that without reading it. It's a lot. The two-spirit people from the native cultures. You know, and we have two parts to this thing. We've got the sexual preferences, and then we have the gender experience. So you've got sexual and gender, and they aren't necessarily the same thing. They don't correlate. So for those of us who grew up in the 50s, where it was really simple, you're a boy or you're a girl, and if you're a girl, you like boys. If you're a boy, you like girls. And everything else is wrong. It's a whole new world, folks. You know that. So this month, what we're doing is celebrating all of those variables. Hence, living color. Hence, the various colors of people. We have all of these different ways of expressing and being and knowing and being ourselves. And it's thrilling and exciting. To not be that would be like having a garden with one color in it. You know? The joy is we live in a world now where we are willing and able to even to listen more to our natural beingness, to our physical selves, to our psychological selves, and allow people the freedom to discover who they are in whatever framework that is. Did you know that Inuits, the folks that live way up north where there's ice and snow everywhere, they had 44 different genders in their culture. I can't figure out how you even name 44 things, but they did, and it was very much a part of their everyday culture. You know, we're struggling with the ones that are showing up right now. And in our young people, I still work in the teen camps. In fact, I just came back from training advisors 2 weeks ago. And we are grappling with this because our youngsters are showing us the way with this. And we oldsters get to decide and find ways to relate and learn different pronouns or no pronouns. or the right pronouns for the right situation. Fortunately, most of the folks in that world are very forgiving, especially for old farts like me, who just can't always get it right. He, she, they, them, and on it goes. And yet we honor this version of what this teaching says, and that is that it should be considered right to live and enjoy living, to be well, happy, and express freedom. And I would say for all. Ernest Holmes says, and we have in our promises and in our declaration of principle, the time will come when all discord will cease. So here we are, grappling with all of that and all of the change that's going on. And it's no wonder that there's chaos going on around us. I'm chuckling at myself because I did the punchline too soon. Because what I really wanted to get across and to say, and I guess I'm doing it the right way instead of backwards, is that the real power of that story, the Golden Buddha, is the goal. That's important, but the greater power is recognizing and understanding the colors of life that are made up of that clay. We all have lots of covers and colors, and we have lots of clay, and we have this body, which, in the Old Testament, one of the translations of all that is that we're made of clay. God spit in the clay, and here we are. Did you know you were God spit? That's what it says. So but that's not a bad metaphor when you think about how varied and various we are. Another beautiful thing that's come out in the last few years is that this old idea of survival of the fittest, and that nature moves forward by contrast and struggle, and whatever part seems to be the strongest moves forward. But that's now been proven not to be true. Biologists are telling us that we develop and grow not from survival of the fittest, but from cooperation. The cooperation is the real underlying thing that underpins all evolution and all development. And we have been moving from simple to complex for a long, long time, and that's going to keep happening. And what's so cool is we have saved as human beings. We only, they say we only use a small percentage of our brains. Well, the rest is left for as things get more complicated, we can learn how to use it. I watch my granddaughter with her phone and the TV and talking on the phone and being able to do all of that at once. I can't. My eyes roll back in my head and I fall over. It's just way too much. But our younger generation are learning to manage and cope with all of these various variables that are coming at them, and their brains are developing right along with it. Now, yes, some of that can be harmful, but the beauty of it is they're finding their way through it, and they're finding ways to cope. I'm in a program now where I'm online and on phone calls with people from all over the world, from almost every country and the only culture or country not represented is China, but we have people from all of the other Southeast Asian countries, Hong Kong. We have Chinese people, they just don't live in China. We have people there from Saudi Arabia and all of the Arab countries. In one Zoom call where we were offering support and solutions to one another, we had a guy from Israel, a Jewish man, and a younger Arab man living in Jordan, who at the time he was on the Zoom call with us, the neighborhood was being bombed and bombarded, and they were helping each other figure out how to get through it. See, all this political stuff going on is not going to stop human beings from doing what we are as human beings, and that is connecting and supporting and being here for each other. Recognizing that all of our colors are necessary and important and a part of the whole tapestry, not one over the other. And the power and beauty of that to me is just getting to witness these little pockets where that's happening. And you know where it's happening? One of the places it's happening, a lot of places. There's a football league in Israel that is made up of Arabs and Jews, but it's not Arabs versus Jews. Every team is mixed from both cultures, and they play each other and ball. Some kind of Australian football, which I don't even begin to understand. But anyway, think about that, you know? We hear all the bad news. If you listen to the news at all, you hear the bad news. You hear the scary news, because scariness makes us click and want to watch more, right? Making us mad. It really makes us want to watch more. So the news is designed to do that, to pull us back, to click again and again and again, instead of finding out what really is going on underneath, behind all that stuff. And there are places to find that and to look for it. One of the things about this time of year, we're celebrating freedom this month. I'm a little scattered, just live with it. One of the things about being a little about this month is that not only is this the Freedom Month for marginalized people, this is a time just like at Christmas time. You know, at Christmas time is what started all of those holidays was the winter solstice. And all of holidays around that time have to do with roots in the solstice. The same thing now. We're headed up to summer solstice. And as we go into this, there are celebrations of all kinds all over the world. People celebrating being alive, celebrating their spiritual connections to whatever they believe those to be. So we have Pride Month. We have Shavuot in Judaism. And if I'm pronouncing all this stuff wrong, don't, hold it against me if you want to. Eid al-Adha, which is Islam. There's an Islamic celebration going on next week. Pentecost with Christianity, which is also next week. Father's Day, I like that one. Presents, yeah. Juneteenth, really important day to remember and celebrate. Our people of color. Summer solstice, which started all this, and another series of Islamic holiday coming up, Al-Hajj, Al-Hira, I think is the right, but I don't know how to pronounce it. If you want to know about it, I'll give you the sheet and you can read them. I'm saying all that simply to let you know that these days, the whole world and various religious groups are celebrating various versions of spiritual life. So the whole consciousness of the planet right now is about caught up in this time. For many Christians, Pentecost is one of the most important holidays. You know, that is when the Spirit came upon us, and we all knew who we were in a way we had never known before. Personally prefer summer solstice, but hey, everybody to their own thing. In this scatteredness, I have one more little story, which I love. This is something new I just discovered. So this is my salute to drag queens today, okay? It's the best. I started to do the whole thing, and then I decided that was a little over the top, so I didn't do it. I've only done it once in my life, and I scared people. So, but you know who the first drag queen was? You know where that whole thing comes from? How about 1866? Yeah. A person called William Dorsey Swan, who was the first known drag queen. He was a freed slave, or she. I don't know what pronouns they used then. Think about when that was. The queen came from, they did a pageant where they crowned the most well-dressed or prettiest one, or whatever their criteria was. So queen came from that. And they were meeting in an area in Washington, D.C., interestingly, called the Grand Rag, which was a bar. And it was said that people always, anyone who came to the Grand Rag had to wear a Grand Rag. So they came in dressed in all sorts of colorful clothes, women's clothes or robes and things that weren't even related to females. And they were often raided, they were often stopped, but they continued. And so drag means Grand Rag. If you say it fast enough, Grand Drag, it evolved over 200 years. So none of these peripheral groups are new. And that's my point. Human beings have been in altered and altered ways of being together, unique and different, as long as we've been human. Going back to some of the earliest records of indigenous peoples in various parts of the world. So it is right and good, I think, we honor all people at this time, regardless of color, regardless of any of the things that we want to use to put names on the clay, as we recognize that no matter who we are, whatever clay we're made of, just like this jacket, there's gold going to be shining through anywhere and everywhere all the time. Because you are wonderful, and that is how it is, and so it is. Thank you.